Hello there guys and welcome to the channel. Right, so a couple days ago this Platinumpool mini boss rush thing came out, and obviously anybody with a fairly advanced roster, it was pretty much a child's play. 10 minutes and you're done. You can do it with like a single champion and rush through it. But if you don't have the top champions or rank 3 6 stars, and if you're a bit more of an intermediate player, this could pose a bit more of a challenge. And after I posted my initial clear video, that was exactly kind of like the comments asking for some other options, maybe for lower ranked champions. Therefore, for this run, I'm effectively using 5 stars, rank 3, 5 stars, rank 4, and a 4-star champion. So we have 2 rank 4 5 stars, 2 rank 3 5 stars, 1 4-star champion. You can mix and match, and you can definitely get this done with 4 stars as well, 100%. But we're going to go through each fight by fight. Now, some of the fights do change up a bit. For instance, instead of Miles, you can see Yellow Jacket at times. Instead of Black Panther, you can see Crossbones. But the general gist of the fights kind of remains the same. I will make additional notes, obviously, what would happen if you were to go up against the other version there. So the first fight is going to be Howard the Duck. Alternative version here is War Machine. And both of them are very, very similar. Opponents have a ton of buffs, and if they use a special attack, and unless they are shocked, they go unblockable, and there's kinetic transference. Well, the thing is, with Howard the Duck, you don't care if he goes unblockable, because you can easily evade level 1, and that's the special that you want him to throw. If you maintain the fight aggressive, you can use any champion. In general, you can just use any champion for Howard the Duck. There is a Ronin cheese available that I will show at the end of the video. But, you know, it's a standard Ronin thing. Just bring in a 4-star Ronin if you want and launch one special attack and you win the game. And it works on both War Machine and Howard the Duck. If you would be going up against War Machine, then the idea is fairly simple and similar. But the only difference is you bait out level 2s. And you block if you have to, and thanks to kinetic transference, it's quite easy to get them to level 2, and then you might need to dance around a little bit more. But the fight itself is not much different. You can bring in your Mystic champions, you can bring in whoever you want, but realistically, this is not the fight that you need to prepare for. As you can see here, I'm just using Angela, and Angela has exactly 0 useful qualities for this fight. You're just managing with the nodes that are in this fight itself, because every time you strike the opponent, you have a chance to shock them, and if those shocks are active, they don't go unblockable, and, you know, if they do go unblockable, it's not end of the world. Both are fairly simple fights. 81 hits, rank 4 Angela, done and dusted. Now, this Venompool is actually the trickier one, because the other version here is Kingroot, and Kingroot's easier to manage, just because he doesn't have his innate power gain on level 2, and on top of that, he can't get as many buffs for get richer node. So Venompool is the harder one here. Kingroot's actually the easier one. Kingroot you can pretty much fight with any champion, especially if it has access to like 1 or 2 buffs, you will be good. But here, my strategy is heal reversal, because if you dash back twice in a short amount of time, he's going to get fairly potent regeneration buff. And that's very tricky to deal with if you consistently bait out special attacks. So you can go in 2 different ways. You can either try and mitigate the regen, which could be tricky if your champions aren't too powerful, or you can try and heal reverse. Now then, trick here once again is that he has ebb and flow knockdown node, and in order to do full damage you need to knock him down, but when it comes back online it removes all debuffs. So for this fight, using Captain America Infinity War, and you can use Void and other champions here as well, but the key would be not to knock down the Venompool in order to make sure that the buffs stay. So 4-star Captain America Infinity War, when it comes to this Venompool fight, obviously is more than capable of dealing with it because of the perfect parries. And yeah, the key here is just to work with that regeneration every time it expires. Try and refresh it, reverse as much of that regen as you can. In this fight, I do have 2 points in despair. Very important. If you don't have any points in despair, this is not going to work your way. but with 2 points in despair and probably 1 point in despair, you can get it done as well. And yeah, Cap Infinity War can deal with this fight. It's also a good thing that Cap Infinity War petrifies, you know, they also deal with that power gain that he would be getting, so the fight is not too bad. Now, the third fight is either Diablo or Ebony Maw. If it's Diablo, good. You can use any champion against Diablo. The fight's much easier. He will go unblockable whenever he throws special attacks, but it doesn't last long, and you can just wait it out, and it really isn't hard. If you want, you can bring in a slow champion or whatever. You don't have to. Pretty much anybody works against Diablo. Now, Ebony Maw is the trickier champion here, obviously because of his degen, and whenever he would throw kind of like 2 level 1s close to each other, you would get that degen active, and whenever you miss, you would get that degen active, stuff like that. So for that purpose, I have brought in an Overseer here. It's only a 5-star rank 3, but it will do the job. And the reason for it is because he's immune to Nullify. That's about as simple as that. I believe Thing is also immune to Nullify, and Mr. Negative is also immune to Nullify. And that is kind of like the easiest way to make sure that Ebony Maw doesn't really do any meaningful damage to you. I suppose Gladiator Hulk and Spider Ham would both also work relatively well here. Or you can just bring in super high damage output champion, and you can out damage this fight. But again, I'm trying to do with like lower ranked champions, in this case rank 3 5-star, and Overseer here is putting in work. Ebony Maw can't nullify any of the Furies, therefore I'm not degening, and as long as I don't hit him whilst I'm faltered, I'm good. And thanks to ability accuracy reduction, and faltered would trigger during a special attack. It didn't even trigger, but obviously I keep knocking him down. The rest of it is just kind of like a regular Ebony Maw fight. There's nothing too complex here. And yeah, so we can see that this fight is nearly over. Overseer absolutely shattered it. So far we're doing very, very well. Next up, I'm going to be going against Miles. And against Miles, there's also a very simple thing. The nodes themselves are actually kind of beneficial to you for most part. There's nothing really to worry about in the node department. So while they're down, but if whenever you parry, you place a debuff, so you can technically do this fight again with any champion. Now, the one thing against Miles now is that you don't really want to be using special attacks. He is easier to deal with than he was because he doesn't have that evade anymore, but you don't really want to be using special attacks and, you know, triggering that miss mechanic that he has. So here I'm just going to use Howard the Duck, which in hindsight was probably my biggest mistake. I could have used like literally any champion. I more than likely should have used Angela here and just, you know, triggered those special attacks now and then and play around that invisibility. I thought I'm being cheeky, but due to short burst lockdown, I'm going to be taking quite a lot of chip damage, and that's going to come into play later on as well. And reason for that is because Howard here has a very specific purpose, and that is to deal with the bishop. And because of, I don't know, using him before that, I'm going to end up using 1 revive because Howard's going to be dead by the time I get the bishop. And, you know, I'll want to showcase why I brought him in the first place. But anyways, so here we're just dealing with the spider. So what I'm doing is I'm just parrying and heavying and building up my Furies. I forgot to activate, I always with Howard the Duck forgot to activate the pre-fight ability, so that's kind of annoying. I need to tap it all myself. Sometimes it's better, but it's definitely a bit trickier to play. So here we can see that we're doing solid damage. We have 47 Furies, Miles is like 19 armor breaks, and, you know, 11k crit from rank 4 5-star. Not too bad. Little Ducky's putting in work. Now this fight's going to be a mess. Now this fight's going to be quite big of a mess. Ideally, you just want a power control champion here. The nodes are power efficiency, offensive specialty, but the sharpened claws on this fight make it annoying, so you do want a champion that's bleed immune. I'm going to try Bishop, and I'm going to try purifying those bleeds, but it's not going to work out well, and then I'm still going to end up taking a lot of damage. So if you see Black Panther here, you want some form of bleed immunity. and ideally power control. Or if you can't get both, then definitely bleed immunity. If you see crossbones here, then you probably want just a bit of power control. So I'm going to bring in Howard here as well, which is a mistake, but you know, at the very least he is bleed immune, but I'm still going to mess it up towards the end. I'm going to bring in Angela just to finish it off. And here we have the Bishop final fight. And this is a tricky fight. So since Howard the Duck was KO'd, I figured I'm going to try out Cap America Infinity War. He can do fairly solid job here as well because he can nullify that Unstoppable. But I will make a couple of mistakes with Captain America Infinity War here as well, because whilst Bishop is unstoppable, you really don't want to hit his block. And I'm going to do it like twice and I'm going to pay for it. It's been a while since I actually used Captain America Infinity War and I kind of completely forgot about that bit. But yes, whilst Bishop is unstoppable, you don't want to hit his block. So now I have to dex this. That was a very solid level 2 evade, but I can understand that not everybody can evade Bishop's level 2. I myself can't always evade it. In fact, I'm going to get caught by it in the same fight. It's not the easiest thing in the world to evade that level 2, especially when it's fully unblockable. So I'm going to make a mistake somewhere along the lines here. We're going to take some more down, but he's still at 63%. We hadn't used any items so far, and maybe I could have skirted through with Overseer and Angela here, but I choose to stick to the initial plan. I do have some revives expiring, so that's all good. As you can see, these level 3 potions are at max as well, and well worth it. The reason why Howard the Duck is here with Bishop is the synergy. A synergy that every time you knock down your opponent, you take away all their prowesses. And that's it. And if Bishop doesn't have any prowess buffs, he's a lot less intimidating. I will still end up making a couple of mistakes here, but as long as Bishop doesn't have any of his prowess buffs, he will not go unblockable. His specials will not have any real bite in them, and that's kind of going to be about it. Obviously, you still have to deal with that Incinerate from the node, but it's not too potent. But here at this point, we can see that Bishop's going down solid. He's about to use his level 2 here, which I will not care too much about because there's no promise. He's not unblockable. I can just, block the first hit, then dex the rest. I should not have used this level 2. I did not want to use this level 2, but it's fine. Now here I make another mistake because I heavied whilst he's unstoppable, but, happens to the best of us. But the little duck is actually a very good counter here. Additional counters. I believe you can quake this guy as well. But if you don't want to quake it, you can probably try and ghost it. Kitty Pryde should be quite a good counter. Who else? Who else counters Bishop? Bishop is quite a scary opponent these days. For me, this seemed to work fine. Guardian is a very solid counter as well. Guardian, if he's relatively high sig, because he can block unblockable mutant special attacks. Let me know who are your Bishop counters in the comment section. So if you do need any more help, be sure to ask. Or if you do have any more advice for players that might be struggling with this, then definitely feel free to offer it in the comment section below as well. As I said initially, for that first fight, you can also definitely just bring in like a 4-star Ronin. This is a 4-star rank 3 Ronin, so it's basically a maxed out 3-star strength, slightly stronger. And, this fight is just funny. Only thing you need to do is make sure that you are the first to throw off a special attack, and the fight goes from there onwards. Right. Anyways, as this Ronin is choosing this fight, let me know if you have any more questions. I hope I covered most of the important points. If I missed anything too vital, again, there is a comment section for that. And in general, I do hope that this video is going to be useful. I also wanted to make a somewhat of a acknowledgement of my mistakes, and I think one of the mistakes is that I have stopped uploading as much content for lower and mid-tier players. which kind of happened gradually, and I didn't initially even notice it, but I do tend to fix that. I do understand just because something seems simple to one player does not mean it's simple for everybody, and I need to do better in that regard. That being said, that is it for now, and I'm gonna catch you guys soon. See ya. Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information about